Prepare your shield and dare not look directly into the shadows. We leave the purifying mountain wind to enter a garden of absolute silence, where time does not pass, it is interrupted. Chapter 1, The Silence Beneath the Serpents. I did not ask for this throne of stone. I did not ask for the touch of my gaze to be a death sentence. Many call me monster, aberration, or Gorgon. They tell stories of how I am the villain hidden at the end of the world, but few wonder why I hide. I inhabit this island not to hunt, but to be left in peace. The problem is that man cannot bear mystery. He wants to conquer it, decapitate it, and hang it on a shield as a trophy of his own virtue. I was the most beautiful of Perseus' daughters. My hair was rivers of gold flowing through the corridors of Athena's temple. But beauty in a world of greedy gods is a curse disguised as a gift. Poseidon took me, and Athena, the goddess of wisdom who lacked the wisdom to protect me, transformed me into a reflection of the trauma I suffered. Now, my hair is a nest of vipers whispering my fears. My skin has become scaly. And my eyes now see the truth so raw that human flesh cannot bear it. Petrification is not an attack, it is an absolute defense. I turn into statues those who come to me with violence, with a desire for glory, or with the gaze of those who want to possess what they do not understand. I make them as cold and still as the hearts that brought them here. But have you ever wondered what I feel when I look at this garden of men turned to marble? I am the curator of a gallery of horrors that I myself created so that it would not be destroyed. My body is a laboratory of contradictions. I am proof that destruction and creation drink from the same source. In Chapter 2, I reveal that Athena's curse was not merely external, it altered the very essence of what flows through my veins. Chapter 2, The Blood of Two Faces. The heroes who invade my island see only my face, but the doctors and magicians of antiquity coveted what lies within me. My blood is not like yours, it is divided along the exact line of my spine, carrying the weight of my history. The left side, the poison of sorrow from the veins of my left side flows a black and corrosive fluid. It is the distillate of my betrayal, the pain of being transformed, and isolation. A single drop can paralyze an army or dry up a river. It is the blood that feeds the serpents in my head. It represents the trauma that hardens and destroys. The right side, the elixir of life on my right side, the blood shines like liquid gold. It is what remains of my divinity and my original purity. It has the power to resurrect the dead and cure any illness. It is the part of me that still believes in regeneration, the power of one who survived the worst and still guards the secret of life. This is the duality of every victim, the power to become the poison that consumed them or the cure for those who suffer similar pain. Asclepius, the god of medicine, is said to have obtained vials of both my bloods. He understood that the difference between medicine and death is only the dose and the intention. I carry death and life in a precarious balance. If you come to me with compassion, perhaps you will find the right side. But men rarely bring compassion to monsters, they bring mirrors and sharp bronze. And that is why my left side is the one that has worked the most in these centuries of exile. I am the guardian of the greatest alchemical secret: to heal, one must first understand the poison. The silence of my garden is not empty, it is filled with a constant sound, a rhythmic hissing that never ceases. In Chapter 3, you will understand that Medusa never sleeps, for trauma is a watchman who knows no rest. Chapter 3, The Whisper of Scales and 360-Degree Perception. Athena thought she was punishing me by giving me snakes instead of hair, but she ended up giving me absolute vigilance. Each of the hundreds of vipers that crown my head is an independent sensory organ. They sense the heat of a body miles away, taste the fear in the air with their forked tongues, and vibrate with the slightest step on the island's sand. Living as Medusa is experiencing the fragmentation of consciousness. The end of intimacy, I was never alone again. My thoughts are constantly interrupted by their whispers. They are my most primitive instincts manifested. They scream when danger approaches, long before my human mind can process the threat. The total vision, while you only see what is in front of you, I sense what is behind, above, and below. There is no stealth attack against a Gorgon. The serpents are my eyes in the darkness, allowing me to see not by light, but by heat and movement. The venomous embrace, they are not just decoration, they are extensions of my nervous system. If you get close enough, they will not wait for my command to attack. They protect their host with a fury that I myself sometimes cannot control. Men call it horror. I call it survival. When you suffer a great injustice, your mind creates serpents. You become hypervigilant, you begin to read the hidden meanings in people's voices and to sense danger where others see only calm. My appearance is merely the physical manifestation of what happens inside anyone who has been betrayed, the birth of a defense system that never shuts off. The problem with having 360-degree perception is that I see everything, including the approach of someone who won't use their eyes to find me. A hero who carries a mirror doesn't want to see me, he wants to use me to see himself. The hero Perseus was no braver than those who fell before him. He was merely more indirect. In Chapter 4, we explore the cruelest weapon one can wield against an isolated being, their own existence turned against itself. Chapter 4, The Bronze Shield and the Tragedy of Reflection. I saw the light shining on the horizon of my cave. It wasn't sunlight, but the cold reflection of a bronze shield, polished like a silver mirror. Perseus wasn't looking at me. He was looking at my image. This is the bitterest lesson of my myth. The world often cannot cope with our real pain, so it creates a representation of it in order to manipulate it. The cowardice of distance, by using the shield, Perseus transformed me into an object. He didn't need to face the suffering in my human eyes or the exhaustion in my snake's. He saw me as a problem to be solved, through a bronze screen. The gaze as a weapon, when he positioned the shield, I saw myself for the first time in centuries. I saw what Athena had done. I saw the monster. For a second, my own pain paralyzed me. The shock of seeing what we become after trauma is sometimes more petrifying than the gaze of any enemy. The decapitation of the symbol, the blow didn't just cut my neck, it severed the connection between my humanity and my defense. It took my head as a trophy, but left my body, my history, and my pain behind, as if they were disposable. Men still do this today. They met us, people. They turn them into images, into labels, into cases, to be analyzed, so they don't have to feel the humanity that pulsates behind the scales. But Perseus and Athena miscalculated. They thought that by killing me, my power would die with me. They didn't understand that the Gorgonian, the face of Medusa, is a force that survives the flesh. When I was placed on Athena's shield, the Aegis, I didn't become a servant. I became the gaze of the goddess. Chapter 5 is the ultimate irony of Olympus. They wanted me gone, but ended up making me eternal. By cutting off my head, Perseus didn't end my story, he merely gave me a new body of metal and power. Chapter 5, The Aegis and the Immortality of Terror. Athena, the goddess who cursed me, now carries me on her chest. She fixed my severed head in the center of her shield, the Aegis. The same goddess who couldn't bear my presence in her temple now won't go to war without my image to protect her. This is the paradox of the veneration of horror. The weapon of fear, on Athena's shield, my gaze continues to petrify. I am no longer a woman suffering on an island, I am the symbol of absolute terror that paralyzes armies. The men who hated me now carve my face into their armor so that I may protect them. The birth of creativity, the moment my neck was cut, not only blood flowed. From my trauma were born Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, the giant with the golden sword. From Medusa's pain came poetry, flight, and strength, gold. Trauma, when broken, releases powers the world has never seen. The Gorgonian, I became an amulet. My face began to be placed on the doors of houses, temples, and coins. I became the apotropaic, the one who wards off evil. Only a monster can keep other monsters at bay. Society does this constantly, it marginalizes those who have been wounded, but then uses the aesthetics and strength of that pain to protect or sell itself. Medusa on Athena's shield is a reminder that the system uses the victim's scar as its medal of authority. I didn't die. I just changed form. I ceased to be prey and became the concept of inviolability. Today, when you see my face on a luxury brand label or in graffiti on the street, know that you're not looking at a defeated villain. You're looking at the only one who managed to make gods and men never stop looking at her. Chapter 6 delves into the modern Medusa. Now that we've left Athena's shield and entered the 21st century, my power to petrify is no longer in marble, but in the paralysis of the soul. Chapter 6, The Gaze That Freezes Digital Time. In the cities of glass, I no longer need physical serpents to be feared. I have become the archetype of vulnerability that transforms into power. Today, my Gorgon gaze manifests in the shock of naked truth in a world of filters. The paralysis of shock, you know that moment when you receive such overwhelming news or such cruel criticism that your body seems to turn to stone? That state of emotional freezing is my presence. I am the defense your brain creates when reality is too heavy to process. The icon of fashion and luxury, I'm not in the bronze aegis, I'm on the catwalks. When brands like Versace use my face, they're not looking for sweet beauty. They're looking for a beauty that intimidates, that demands respect, and that says, look, but don't touch. It's the aesthetic of a woman who can no longer be subjugated. The claim of the scream, today, women who have suffered the same injustices as I no longer hide their faces. They tattoo my image as a shield. I have become the patron saint of those who have transformed no into a stone wall. The modern Medusa teaches that trauma doesn't have to be your end, it can be your armor. I've gone from being the victim of the temple to being the queen of my own abyss. If you find me today, it won't be in a cave in Greece, but in the mirror, on those days when you decide that no one else will have the power to hurt you. My gaze no longer kills the body, it kills the expectations others have about who you should be. I am proof that, even if broken by the gods, you can become the most important piece on the board. Chapter 7 is the stage of the alchemy of tears. It is here that we discover that the stone is not the end, but a state of preservation. In the 7th, the gaze of Medusa serves not to destroy the enemy, but to eternalize one's own essence before the world corrupts it. Chapter 7, the crystal of memory and the inner statue. The deepest legends say that not all those petrified in my garden were enemies. Some were travelers who, exhausted by a chaotic and fickle world, asked to be turned to stone. They sought immutability. In this chapter, I reveal the power of emotional crystallization. The preservation of what is pure. Sometimes, to save a feeling or a truth amidst a world of lies, you need to petrify it. You create a conviction so solid that no storm or argument can wear it down. This is your rock core. Time that stops, my gaze interrupts the flow of biological time. On a spiritual level, this means the ability to enter a state of active suspension, where you observe the chaos around you without being swept away by it. You become the statue in the center of the hurricane. The geometry of trauma. Just as carbon under pressure becomes diamond, Medusa teaches that the pressure of pain, if directed correctly, does not crush you, but reorganizes you into something indestructible and brilliant. The flesh is weak, it rots and changes its mind, whisper my serpents. But the stone retains its original form forever. Chapter 7 is about learning to be inflexible where you cannot yield. It is the ability to look at your own values and transform them into marble, so that no one can sculpt them but yourself. I am not only the one who kills, I am the one who immortalizes. If you can survive the weight of my gaze, you will cease to be malleable mud in the hands of others and become the monument of your own will. Chapter 8 takes us far from the dry land and marble temples. It is here that Medusa seeks her most ancient roots, plunging into the realm of that which caused her ruin, the ocean. In Chapter 8, the petrifying gaze meets the pressure of the depths. Chapter 8, the coral labyrinth and the underwater kingdom. Though I was killed on land, my blood fell into the sea. And there, in contact with the waters of Poseidon, it did not dilute, it transformed. Myths say that the blood that gushed from my neck created the red coral. In the depths, Medusa reveals the mastery of abyssal emotions. The pressure that purifies, at the bottom of the ocean, sunlight, the reason of men, does not reach. There, you are not judged by appearances, but by your ability to bear the weight. I teach you to descend into your emotional depths, those you fear to visit, and discover that down there, you are unbreakable. The coral labyrinth. Coral is the living stone. It is as hard as marble, but it grows and breathes. It represents the stage where you are no longer a rigid, cold statue, but an organic and protected structure. You learn to build your defenses beautifully, creating a reef where life can flourish under your protection. Reconciliation with the abyss. In the depths, I confront the energy of Poseidon. Not with fury, but with the calm of the water that envelopes the rock. I teach you to look at your aggressors and your old pains as if they were miles deep. They lose their form, they lose their sound, and finally, they lose their power over you. What is on the surface is a storm, I whisper through the air bubbles. What is at the bottom is silence and construction. In this chapter, Medusa ceases to be the monster of the cave and becomes the architect of the inner ocean. You learn that your trauma can create entire ecosystems of resilience, transforming the blood of betrayal into corals of wisdom. You now not only petrify what hurts you, you build your own kingdom where the judgment of the world cannot breathe. Chapter 9 is the turning point. After learning to petrify the external world and build reefs in the depths, you discover that the greatest danger, and the greatest reward, is not looking at others, but sustaining your own gaze. Chapter 9, the inverted gaze and the awakening of inner vision. The myth says that Medusa could not look at herself in the mirror without becoming a victim of her own power. But, on a spiritual level, Chapter 9 reveals the secret of the metamorphosis of consciousness. To stop being a monster, you need the courage to look at what frightens you within yourself. In this phase, you practice the vision of raw truth. The mirror of the soul. You stop using your power to defend yourself from others and begin to use it to paralyze your own lies. When you look at your excuses, laziness, and fears with the Gorgon gaze, they lose their movement. You petrify them so that you can dissect them. The transparency of fear. Looking inward, the snakes in your head cease to scream. They become silent, for fear disappears when faced head-on. You realize that the scales were merely armor you no longer need to wear all the time. The Gorgon's third eye. Between the petrifying eyes, a clear vision is born. You stop seeing victims and culprits and begin to see patterns. You understand why certain situations repeat themselves in your life and, with a glance, decide to freeze these cycles forever. Don't be afraid of who you are, I whisper as the snakes calm down. The stone is only cold to those who do not know the fire that shaped it. In this chapter, you discover that Medusa was not a curse, but a necessary hardening phase. You needed to be made of stone to avoid being destroyed. Now that you are indestructible, the stone can begin to pulse again. You are ready for final integration. Where flesh and rock, poison and medicine, woman and goddess become one. Chapter 10 is the closing of the circle. The blood has been spilled, the shield has been raised, and the depths have been explored. Now, Medusa is no longer a decapitated head or a monster on an island. She undergoes the last and most glorious transmutation, the alchemy of gold. Chapter 10, the ascension of the golden Gorgon. In the final stage, the stone does not break, it becomes precious. Chapter 10 represents the total integration of the shadow. The serpents, once symbols of horror and venom, now shine like filaments of pure gold. They are no longer intrusive thoughts of fear, but antennas of divine intuition. In this conclusion, Medusa manifests the state of absolute sovereignty. The gaze that transmutes, your power has evolved. You no longer turn others to stone through fear, you transform them through your presence. Whoever comes into contact with you is forced to stop, petrify, the mental noise and face their own truth. You have become a catalyst for consciousness. The inner shield, you don't need Athena to bear your face. You yourself have become your shield. Your dignity is your protection. You walk through the world with the calm of one who knows that poison and cure are tools you perfectly master. The unification of blood, the left side, pain, and the right side, life, finally merge. The result is an unshakable balance. You accept that your wounds are part of your beauty, and that your strength comes precisely from having survived what should have destroyed you. I am no longer anyone's monster, I declare, as my golden wings open. I am the monument of my own overcoming. The golden Medusa is the archetype of the one who transformed injustice into authority. She does not seek revenge against Poseidon or Athena, for she now inhabits a plane where the gods cannot reach her. She is proof that the most powerful beauty is that which has passed through hell and returned with open eyes.